my name is Dipankar. A few days back I received a Raspberry Pi 2 from Element 14 for a review. And this is what this video is about. And today I'm going to talk about Raspberry Pi and its ecosystem. So Raspberry Pi is a $35 credit card sized computer. And this board you see in my hand is the latest version that came out in February 2015. It has a Broadcom BCM2836 quad-core processor clocked at 900 MHz and 1 GB of RAM clocked at 450 MHz. So I even have a credit card to give you a better sense of its dimensions. So here you can see this is exactly the credit card sized computer. Despite the small size, you can actually do all the things that you do on your regular desktop computer, like surfing internet, viewing high-definition videos, installing softwares, and playing games. You might not be able to play some high-end games, but then there are things that you would find doing more easy on a Raspberry Pi than on your desktop computer, like interfacing sensors and interacting with the physical world. Raspberry Pi was primarily aimed at making people learn programming and understand computing. But in fact, it is doing more than that. People around the world are making incredible things using the Raspberry Pi, right from something like a hardware firewall to a multimedia center to a robotic system. So this is an incredible system. Let's have a closer look at this incredible system. Here is a closer look to Raspberry Pi 2. So first of all, here we have a micro USB slot for powering the Raspberry Pi, and you need a wall adapter or a power bank that can supply at least 2 amperes at 5 volts. Then next we have an HDMI connector so that you can connect this thing to a monitor and can see it booting. So in case you do not have a monitor with an HDMI capability, we also have an RCA composite connector that also has an audio jack shared into it, and this is a 3.5 mm connector. Then moving on to this side, we have a regular RJ45 connector for your network connectivity. Then we have 4 USB slots here where you can connect your data card or your Wi-Fi adapter or your external hard drives or anything that has a USB interface. So moving on to this side, we have here 40 GPIO, and you can connect all sort of sensors on these pins so that you can interface that with a Pi. So let's now come to the middle. Here we have a DSI display connector. And so far this place has remained abandoned because there was actually no display that gets connected here. There are some third-party displays, but they connect with the Pi using the GPIO. But very soon we are going to see a 7-inch touchscreen display that will get connected here. And on this side we have a CSI camera connector where you can connect a 5 megapixel camera that comes for this system. And there is also a thermal camera from a third-party vendor that you can also use. So coming to the middle, we have here the brain of Raspberry Pi Broadcom chip. At this side we have the GPU, and if I flip this thing over, here you would find a micro SD slot for your SD card that will store your operating system and all your Python scripts and everything else. In the middle you have the RAM, 1 GB of RAM. So that's all about the hardware of Raspberry Pi 2. So if we now compare this with the previous variant, you would actually see that all the major things are in the same place in both of this system, and there is not much of visual difference apart from that the color of connectors on this one is white and color is black on this one. And a few things, if you would look here, a few things have been reshuffled here, and this diode has moved to this place, while on this one the diode is placed here. The only major visual difference you would see is only when you will flip this thing over. So here there is a RAM, but on the previous version, B+ model, the RAM is itself in the processor. And the thing is that this one has a quad core processor and this one has a single core processor, but the RAM is inside the processor. So that's all about the comparison of these two boards. Talking about the software, right now we have various Linux based operating systems for Raspberry Pi like Raspbian, OpenELEC, OSMC, Ubuntu Snapcode and Fedora. So operating systems like OSMC and OpenELEC are primarily used to turn your Raspberry Pi into a media center. But now Windows 10 is also coming up for Raspberry Pi 2. And that's a great news, especially for the people who want to use this system but are a bit reluctant to use the Linux based operating systems. And in fact, there is also noise about Android for Raspberry Pi. And in the coming times, this ecosystem is going to be one of the most versatile ecosystems in terms of operating systems. Raspberry Pi has a great community support, and that makes it very easy to learn anything new about this system. Python is the language that you use to make your system interact with the sensors and do other bunch of stuff. You can also use other languages, but Python works out of the box, and it is a powerful language with great data crunching abilities. So all in all, this is a great system for the makers to bring their ideas to life. So that's all for this time. Next time we will actually make the Raspberry Pi boot up and we'll compare the performance of Raspberry Pi 2 with its previous variant. So thanks to the Element 14 for sending me the Raspberry Pi 2, and thanks to all of you for viewing this video. So see you next time. Till then, take care and keep inventing. Thank you so much.